Hello ladies and gentlemen, at Photog J the Great, Jeremy Smith here once again. Did a little bit more in-depth review of the Nikon D3200. Right now I'm actually using the 3200 to record this video. I am going to show off some more samples that I shot. I decided to test how the camera does in low light, both in video and stills. So I'm going to be providing a lot of samples of that. And of course we're going to take a much closer look at the controls. As I said in the introductory video, by the way, I don't think there's that big of a difference between introductory and unboxing. I think that's about the same thing. Anyways, there's something in the comments about that. Whatever. But as I said in the introductory video, I'm very excited about this camera. I mean, it's basically the camera that I did not expect to see coming. The early rumors about it, I kind of doubted at first, but after I kind of thought about Nikon and Sony's unique relationship as far as Sony manufacturing a lot of sensors for Nikon, it kind of made sense when you consider that cameras like the A77 and A65 and NEX7 all have APS-C sensors that are 24 megapixels. You know, it made sense. The Nikon D7000 also uses a 16 megapixel Sony sensor, and that sensor's been out for quite a while now. So it makes sense that the 24 megapixel APS-C sensor is going to be seen in a lot more cameras like this D3200. There's a lot of features on this camera that are nice that you don't typically see in entry-level DSLRs. There's a lot of things that Nikon previously made you go up to something like the D5100 or the D7000 for, which I'm pretty sure we're going to see replacements for both of those cameras as well pretty soon. Probably the I don't know, it's going to be interesting. I don't know if we're going to see a 7100 or a 5200 first, but I feel like we'll see one of those two, and it will definitely, well, I say definitely, it will more than likely be with this same 24 megapixel sensor, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Nikon's done that a lot in the past. But anyways, let's take a closer look at the camera now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue on with the review on the 3200. We're going to go ahead and take a closer look at all the controls on the camera. The 3200, of course, is the same size as all of Nikon's other entry-level cameras that have been current. You know, D3000, D3100. Same exact size, same form factor. Nikon, they've been tweaking their controls on all of their DSLRs lately. So the first thing that you'll notice on this is that, you know, we have a record button here now, which is a very nice thing to have. So that way, you know, it's a little bit easier to reach when you're shooting. I guess it has a lot to do with preference. Okay, hold on guys, here I am shooting and presenting at the same time here. We are now, of course, using the D7000 to record this video, since I have to use this camera to actually show you. Anyways, so you notice that it has that record button up there, which is nice. A little bit easier to get to, I suppose. You know, they used to have the live view little flip out thing, little flip out switch back here. Now it's a button, and then of course you just have the record button up here. So a little bit different setup. In using it, I didn't really notice that big of a difference. I do like having the record button up here. I did kind of like having the little flip live view thing. I kind of feel like I'm accidentally going to hit this, so I kind of liked having that little flip out switch thing. Anyways, but it's mostly preference. It's not that big of a deal. Fixed LCD screen on this one. I'm sure Nikon's going to be coming out with a 5200 or something like that, and I would imagine that it's going to be the same 24 megapixel sensor, and I'm sure it will have the flip out screen. The D5000 had a flip out screen, the 5100 had a flip out screen, and I'm sure this 5200 will whenever it actually shows up. So in Nikon, the entry-level model has always been a fixed screen, and the one right above it, is the one that gives you the swiveling screen. So Nikon's somewhat predictable in some of their product design. So anyways, but fixed screen on this one. Of course, we have our single SD card slot over here, which will read those new fancy XD cards, or excuse me, what are they called? SDXC cards, yeah. Those are the ones that will supposedly scale up to 2 terabytes one day, so no worries about storage. Down here we have the same Nikon E&EO 14 battery. Same one used in the D3100 and the D5100, so familiar there. And unlike the E&EO 15 batteries in the 7000 and 800, apparently there's no overheating issues with these. Hopefully Nikon will get that sorted out. By the way, in case you didn't know this, Sony, they actually make most of Nikon's batteries, so anyways, maybe that's an evil plot by Sony. Okay, I doubt it, but maybe. Okay, on this side of the camera, of course, microphone jack. You have your, well, so let me just go ahead and open this. Microphone jack there. You have your USB connector, which is not a standard mini USB. It's a proprietary, proprietary Nikon style connector. Very similar to the one used in the Coolpix cameras. So of course it does your USB, and it does the analog video output. Nikon, they also decided to make a new wireless module for this camera called the WU1A, and it will plug in there as well. I think that little thing is like $60 or so, and it allows you to create a point-to-point Wi-Fi connection between your camera and like a Android phone or iPhone, and so you can actually control the camera remotely, and you can have your photos go straight to your phone. From what I've been told, the Android app will be available first, and then there's an iPhone app to follow soon. And apparently there's also like a remote shooting option where you can control settings and actually use it to fire your camera. So hopefully pretty soon I'll get my hands on that wireless adapter, and I'll be able to test it out. Down here you have your mini HDMI connector, and then lastly you have the actual remote jack. Speaking of remotes, this camera is also compatible with Nikon's infrared remotes, and the cool thing about this camera is they put an infrared sensor here on the back of the camera, and they also put an infrared sensor right here on the front as well. So even if you're behind the camera, you can still fire it, and of course you can still have access to the front connection, which is used if you're going to be in like a self-portrait or something like that. So very, very easy. Menu systems on this camera, once again, very much like all the other Nikon models in this range. There's probably some minor little tweaks here and there. I didn't notice anything really compelling. I haven't spent as much time using a lot of Nikon's entry-level models as I have their higher-end models, but in using this so far I didn't notice really any major differences. I do like the fact that you have a dedicated drive button down here, So you can actually, let's bring that back. So you can actually, change your drive mode to easily. So that's something that you have quick access to. On all the cameras in this range, normally you press this little button down here and it gives you this little side menu. And then you of course just scroll through your settings. You've got your quality settings, white balance, ISO, release mode, focus mode, area mode, and metering. And then down here your exposure compensation and the flash exposure compensation. So still very, very standard fare on how that works. One thing that I'm always showing people, especially people that are just getting started with photography, one thing I like about all the cameras in this range is whenever you're adjusting your f-stop, which on this camera it doesn't have two dials, it has one. So to adjust f-stop you have to press the exposure compensation button. And if you're in the aperture priority setting or the full manual setting, well actually just aperture priority honestly, this instead of becoming, if you're in full manual, instead of this doing your exposure compensation, you press and hold this button down. You notice there's a little aperture symbol there. If you're in manual, you press and hold this button down and rotate the rear dial, and it serves as an f-stop adjustment. If you don't press and hold the button, you just rotate the dial by itself. It's going to adjust your shutter speed. So, but the thing I like about this is, as you adjust your f-stop, you have this nice little graphic over on the left hand side that shows you what's happening. Because starting out, everyone thinks that the larger F number means more light coming in, but of course it's just the opposite. So this graphic does a good job of displaying this. Go down to F29 and you can see the diaphragm illustration closes down. If we go the opposite direction, go to smaller F numbers, you can see it opens up. So that's a nice little reminder that a smaller F number means more light coming in the camera and not the other way around. So personally, this camera's a little small for me, but for those starting out, it's going to do very, very well. Like previous entry-level Nikon models, there is no built-in focusing motor for older, non-AFS lenses. However, that's really not much of a big deal these days. Most people buying a camera like this, are not going to be using older Nikon lenses. So it's not a big issue, and of course Nikon, they've updated just about all their lenses to AFS these days anyway, so not really anything to worry about. I was very impressed that they decided to give you manual video controls on this camera, which is something that you previously had to go up to the D7000 for. So that's something that the 5100 even lacks. If you go into your menu here, let's see here, you go into your shooting menu, you can actually go down to your movie settings here, and you can see there manual movie settings, and like right now I have that turned on. So that actually allows you to adjust your shutter speed, your ISO, and your f-stop in the movie mode, which is incredible. That's a really big deal. Let's see here. So you have that. Oh yeah, one other thing I didn't point out earlier. This camera does have a microphone jack built in up at the top there, and that's something too that you used to have to go up to the higher model for. One other thing I found interesting is the fact that even though this camera is 24 megapixels, it still does 4 frames a second, which is 1 frame a second faster than the D3100, which is 3. So yeah, before you go up to the 5100, and that gave you access to 4 frames a second as opposed to 3, but now this one is actually 4 as well, despite the higher megapixel count. So that's impressive. Let's see here, what else? Oh yes, I was going to show you one thing though on the video mode. In using this, which the next thing we're going to do is look at the video and stills that I shot with this. But one thing I did notice in the video mode, and this is something that's different than on the higher end DSLRs, if you're in the video mode, and by the way, I noticed that it's this way on the D7000, but on like the D4 and the D800, if you're in your video mode, which you get there by pressing the live view button first, and of course once you start recording you press that, and I'm actually in manual mode right now. You can see if as I rotate the dial here, I can adjust my shutter speed. I can go to the little side menu here and I can actually adjust my ISO if I need to do that. Of course, that's another thing. It is noteworthy, like on all other entry-level Nikon bodies, the f-stop, not f-stop, but the ISO adjustment is in full stops. It's not in third stops. So there's yet another reason why I say that we'll be seeing the D3200 pretty soon. But anyways, so you can notice that. But you can see I can change all this. The only thing that I cannot do is I cannot adjust my f-stop. Notice that as I do that, there's no way to really do that. I can do the shutter speed and that ISO, but I can't do the f-stop. So in order to adjust f-stop, you actually have to get out of the live view, adjust your f-stop, go back into live view like this. So that's the only downside. I was a little disappointed about that. In shooting video with this, I did kind of work around that, and but I noticed on like the 800 and the D4, for example, that's something that you can adjust without going in and out of that mode. But for most users, it's not that big of a deal, and of course, it's really not a big deal at all when you consider that previously this level of camera had no manual video controls whatsoever, so one can't be too picky about that. Well, if there's anything you have any questions about, which I think I went over most everything there, but if there's anything you have questions about that I didn't go over, just write me a quick little message there in the comments below, and I'd be glad to take a closer look. I'm going to go ahead and get the next part of this video together, where we're going to be taking a look at the video samples and the image samples that I shot. Until then, definitely subscribe and write me if you have any questions or suggestions. Until next time, this is Photog J, the Great, Jeremy Smith, signing off once again.